Hey coders, welcome to lesson 4 of the HTML and CSS master course, Forms and Inputs. Today, you will learn how to build interactive login forms to get data from users that visit your website through different input types and add basic validation to catch users' error. So grab the HTML cheat sheet below. It has all the input types we're going to go through in this lesson, and let's create forms that users love. Let's dive into forms. The form tag. We use the form tag to create interactive forms for user inputs, like sign-up pages, contact pages, login pages, and more of them. Let's start by creating the form tag. Now, the form tag is structured like any other form tag we have worked on before. They all have the same pattern. The form tag has an attribute called action, and it has a value called submit. So what this submit does, it submits all the information that was collected from the user. Within this form tag, we're going to have multiple input types. Now, what are input types? Input types are some elements we use in HTML to collect data from users that visit our website. Through registering a form or putting in your details to get back to your account, a lot of more process to collect users' inputs. We're going to go through different inputs we use to collect data from users. There are a lot of input types in HTML. We're going to use something called the input tag. Now, the input tag is also one of those few tags in HTML that just has an open tag, just like the image tag. So now, the way the input tag works is a less than sign, the input text with a greater than sign. So now, this is how the input tag works. Within this input tag, we're going to have an attribute. If you remember, the way attribute is structured is the attribute name, a quality sign, and a quote. So now, the attribute we use in an input, the type. Now, you need to write type, a quality sign, and a quote. This is the type attribute, and this is how it is structured. Now, what this type attribute does now, it's asking us as developers, what type of input do I want to get from the user? There are different inputs and different use cases. As a developer, I have to specify which input do I need to get from the user. So now I'm going to write text here. What this says is now I'm going to get a text input from the user. When I say text, I mean the user's name, the user's surname, the user's anything that has to do with text, alphabetical text. When I save this and log this in the browser, now I'm having a box. In this box, now I can enter a text. I'm able to type something in this box. So when you do that from the block of code, this is what the user is going to see. He's not going to see anything like input typed and all those tags. What he's going to see now is a block that gives him the opportunity to type a text. With that line of code, you just created this thing. This is how beautiful HTML is. Let me show you what you're going to use to collect the user's password. You're going to go through the same process you followed, but what the only difference is in the type. Which type of input do you want to get? In the type attribute, now instead of writing text, now you're going to write password, which means what I want to get from the user is his password. So you're going to spell password just like this. From the browser here, as you can see, now I'm having two input boxes. The first one is for the text, the second one is for the input. Now I'm having alphabetical text appearing. If I start typing on the password box, as you can see here, I'm not seeing a text. It's only showing a bullet point. That's because I'm entering the password, not text. I'm not supposed to see the password. Only the user that is typing the password knows his password. He knows what he's typing. So that is why it is called the password type. When I decide to now to clear out all the text in the text box and all the password in the password box, now I'm having two plain boxes. But how do I know that now? This box, I'm supposed to enter a text. This box, I'm supposed to enter a password. Normally, on a sign-up form, we normally see a text on the screen that says enter your username or enter the password, something similar like to that. Now, let me show you how that is actually created in the HTML input tag. Apart from the type attribute in the input tag, we also have a second attribute. It is called the placeholder. Now, this placeholder attribute, it gives us opportunity to type a text. When we type a text, now that text is going to appear in the surface of the input box. Let me show you how it works. You write a placeholder, equality sign, and a quote. Now, this is what we call a placeholder attribute. Now, within this quotation, it's where you're going to write the text you want it to appear in the box. Let me write something like enter username. On the browser, this is the text I'm having. Enter username. So that's the essence of the placeholder attribute. Let's do the same thing for the password also. In the password tag, also write a placeholder, equality sign, and a quote. Within this quote is where you're going to insert the text, enter password. This is what I'm having here from the browser. Enter username. The second one says enter password. Now, each box now I know what the user is expected from him to enter. So this is how you actually do it. Let's create a button. Since we have two input boxes for username and password, let's create a button. We have gone through how to create a button before, but the way we do it now is just a button tag. Two open tag and a closing tag for a button, and the text you insert within this tag is what is going to appear in the text for the button. From the browser, this is the result we're having. A username input box, a password input box, and a submit button. Let's create a third input tag. Now, this input tag is going to have something called a radio. Let's assume you have 5 radio buttons and you want to select based on that radio buttons. We also use the same process to create radio buttons using the input tag. You write the input tag, insert the type attribute. Within the type attribute, that's where you're going to insert the name of the input you want to get. So in this case, we're going to write radio. Now we're having a radio button here appearing. If we have multiple radio buttons, we have the option of selecting each radio button. Let's create another input tag. And in this input tag, we're going to collect a different input from a user. So we're going to have the type attribute to now be checkbox. Now, the user has the opportunity to check and uncheck a checkbox. If he agrees on the terms and condition, he's going to check the checkbox. From the browser here, you can see now the user has the ability to now check and uncheck a checkbox. We normally use this checkbox to verify if a user agrees to the terms and conditions of that website. Later on, we will go how to structure now a good Netflix login page. And you're going to see all this thing, it's not even hard. It just needs someone to put you through how it works. In the HTML cheat sheet, I've listed all the input types you actually need for now to get started. So you can check it below. Let's create another input type. And in this input type, we're going to make the type to now be date, because we want the user to select a certain date. Let's assume maybe his date of birth. Here you can see we have a date box here appearing. Now, I as a developer, I gave the user a chance to select his day of birth, his month of birth, and his year of birth. Do you know that we as developers, we can even ask a user that visits our website to upload something to us from his own computer, and we're going to receive it? Let me show you how it works. Now, it also goes the same process. We're going to use the input tag. We're going to have the type attributes, just like any other attribute, but for the name of the type, we're going to write file. So this is what it just created for us. When we click on it, now it's going to let the user to have access to his own folders on his system. And from here, he can select any other file he wants to upload to us. But now, to receive that file, we're actually going to use JavaScript for that, which is another extension for this course. Input, we're going to insert a type attribute. For the type attribute, we're going to make it to be text. Now, we don't want a plain box. We want a box that tells the user what he is expected of. What do you think we are going to use here? We are going to use placeholder. Placeholder text, equality sign, and a quote. Now we're going to say enter username. Next up, we're going to create a second input box that gets a password from a user. So we're going to create input tag, and we're going to insert the type attribute. Type attribute, we're going to specify that we want to get a password from a user. Then we're going to insert the placeholder attribute. In the placeholder attribute, we're going to say enter password. In the browser, now we have two input boxes. The first one says enter text, and the second one says enter password. There's something we call the break tag. It's also a one tag syntax. What it does now, when you have two things in a line and you want it to break, if you insert the break tag, now the second one is going to come below it. From the browser, as you can see here, now the first input just broke down to the second line. If you remove it, it's going to go back to its normal stage. If you insert it, it's going to break the line. But for now, I don't need it, so I'm going to take it out just to show you how the break tag works. We're going to now create a button. When the user inserts his username and he inserts the password, now we need something for the user to click to submit everything. So we're going to create a button, and this button is going to have a text of submit form. Now, as you can see here, when I insert the break tag, now the form is going to come down. It's not going to be aligned. Now, from the browser, as you can see here, now the form is below the two input boxes. Now, let's create a text that tells the browser what this form is all about. So, from the top of the form, we're going to create a H1. Now, in this H1, we're going to have a text that tells the user what the entire form is all about. So now, in this text, we're going to write login to enter your account. Create a paragraph tag. Now, within this paragraph tag, let's insert a text that tells the user to register an account in case if they don't have an account. This is how now the form is looking. Now, this text having a register account text. The best approach to do it now is not just to leave it in a normal text that says register account. The best way to do it now is to make it a link, which when you click on it, it will take you to another page to register a new account. Then this page will be like a login page. So now, the best thing to do now is to change this text into a link. I believe you know how to do it by now. How to change a normal text to a link. Pause this video and change this paragraph text to a link. Then come back. By now, you should have changed this text to a link. Let's do it. Take out the text and insert a link tag in it. When you have done that, now for the text in the A tag, you can insert register account. Now this register account now, it's going to be now a link, which is not even linking to anything for now because we're not creating a different page for registering account. But now it is a link. Here you can see here now that the text here it's a link because now it's even having an underline in it. Let's explore more input types. Do you know you can have an input type that only accepts emails? Yeah, you can do that. So it works the same way. Below the first input type, let's create another input type. Let's give the input type to have a type of email. Let's give it a placeholder, a text that should appear on the box. For the placeholder text, let's make it to be enter your email. In the browser here, now you have 3 different boxes that a user can enter his inputs. The first one says enter your text. The second one said enter your email. The third one said enter your password. There is a keyword we use in input. If a user fails to complete this box, maybe a user enters the inputs, he enters the username, he enters the password, but he fails to enter the email. Now, there is a keyword we use. It will bring back an error that says you must fill in this box before you can have access to your account. Let me show you how we do that. In the input box, you're going to insert a keyword called required. When you insert this required, the user, he has to fill in the box before he can proceed. When I click on submit here, as you can see what I just got, please fill out this field. Now, let's use it for the second input box, which is the email. Let's insert required also. And do it for the third box also. Now, when I click on submit, as you can see here, I'm still getting feedback that says, please fill out this field. So this is a keyword we use that makes the user compulsory to fill out their forms. Let's take out this and leave just the H1. Let's explore more of the input types. And for you to see that there are a lot of input types we have in HTML. So as there are a lot of data you can get from a user. Do you know you can actually even ask a user to select a color, create an input tag, and make the type to be color. When you select color, as you can see here, a user can click on it and select his color. And a feedback will be given to you when the user does that. You can also create an input type that makes the input only to accept numbers. And we mostly use this when we want to create calculators and other things that need numbers, not alphabet. So it goes the same way, an input with a type of number. Now you have access to selecting even a negative number or a positive number. Anything that has to do with number, this input type goes with it. We have another input type that makes the user to select a range, which the type, we're going to make the type to be range. When you do that now you have a range, which a user can select his range. As a developer, you don't just give the user a placeholder to put in username or input. You can actually determine the number of alphabet you want the user to enter. That is how you have control over everything in your website. That is why you are called the developer. Now, in a user, there's an attribute called max length. Now, in the max length, it means maximum length of alphabet. The maximum length of alphabet you want the user to enter. Let's assume I give it a max length of 5. Now, the user can only enter the maximum alphabet of 5 numbers. In the box, you can only enter the maximum alphabet of 5 alphabet. Above that, you can't move any further. This is actually everything you're going to need to create an input and input box. For further things, we're going to explore more things. But calm down, we're just getting started. From the beginning of this course till now, I just want you to know one thing. We're just getting started. We're going to explore more things. By the next chapter, you're going to start learning CSS. HTML is just the beginning of front-end web development. Congratulations on completing Module 2. You've already taken the first step towards becoming a professional developer and landing your first job, mastering the skills and transforming your mindset. But here's the truth. You're just scratching the surface. Starting with Module 3, that's where we're going to dive into CSS. We're going to explore more things, key topics, benefits, and advanced strategies. If you stop now, you'll miss out on the game-changing high insight and the tools that countless developers used earlier on this course, and they have achieved success and skyrocketed their career, not just that, and boost their income. So the journey is just getting started. And Module 3 is where the real magic happens. Don't let this opportunity slip away. If you're interested, join the full course down below and keep your momentum going. The link is in the description box.